So today I'm going to be bringing you guys some romance content as we are going to be talking about the 10 books I currently have out from Kindle Unlimited that I really want to read. And I do also currently have a cold, and the longer this video goes on, the more congested I'm going to get and nobody's going to say shit about it, alright? So I have discussed before, probably in vlogs, that like sometimes sometimes we get the itch to buy books, but I don't need any books. I'm surrounded by books constantly. So I do things like I go to the library and I borrow a book because it's good for the library, it's good for my wallet, it's great for the space in my house that isn't filled with books, which there isn't a lot of it. And I do the same with Kindle Unlimited. Now I did plan to make this video before I got tickets for Rare 2023 in London. So I am going to be making another video like I made this year, which is like all of the books that I want to read before Rare 2023. And I have a bit more time this time, so I'm going to be more successful at actually reading some of those authors. But this list of what I currently have out from Kindle Unlimited is just like the top of my romance TBR outside of what's in my house. So we have like a few sequels in here and a few things that I want to try, some stuff that's been recommended. And we're just going to talk about it a little bit. I could make a list, but I like to just borrow the things that I'm interested in so that I see them every time I like look in my library. So it's intimidating looking at them all like this. I guess we will start. I'm gonna start at the bottom, so the things that I've had out the longest, because I was gonna go for like the sequels first, but then I don't feel like I'll remember where I'm up to. So we're gonna start off with Corrupt by Penelope Douglas, which actually I think out of these is like first or second in terms of like the ones that I want to read the most, because I really enjoy Penelope Douglas. Even when Penelope Douglas does tropes that I don't enjoy, like I don't like age gap romances, but did I eat up Birthday Girl? Absolutely. So this one I think is especially going to be up my alley because this is a 4-book series, I think, called the Devil Knight series. The first book is Corrupt, and I'm not sure what the other books are about, whether they follow. I don't think they can, because I think the synopsis for Corrupt refers to like just one girl. It is about this group of men that have just come out of like something like prison.
Here's what I found online.
Nobody asked you. Okay, so now I'm reading the synopsis of Corrupt and I'm very confused because the synopsis on Goodreads says that it is about this girl and her boyfriend's older brother. So her boyfriend leaves to go to the military. Her boyfriend's older brother's like this bad boy, and now that the boyfriend's out of the way, them two are gonna, you know what I mean? So I thought that it was about this group of guys that had been like put in prison for something, and then they get out and then they take revenge on the girl who's responsible for it. I am sure that that is the synopsis of this series. That's not what Goodreads is telling me, so let me know. Regardless, I'm excited to read it. I really like what I've read from Penelope Douglas and I'm excited to read more, and this I think is especially something that I'll be interested in. Next up we have Never Never by Colleen Hoover and Taryn Fisher, which is a serial, I think is what they're called. You know, like when authors release books in like 100-page chunks and then like the entire thing makes up like a full-size novel. I did read the first part of this, so I just have it like I'm 46%. Whoa, 46% with still 2 sections to go. That's not bad. But yeah, I just have the whole thing downloaded on my Kindle and I have read the first section. But this is, I want to say it's young adult because it's set in a high school, but it's following this girl and boy who have amnesia, and they kind of like, they just wake up in class, or don't wake up, but they like activate, I don't know, but they have no memories and they both kind of just find themselves in a classroom and have no idea like who they are or why they're there, but they know contextual things like what a classroom is and all of that kind of stuff. So they identify the same kind of symptoms in each other, and together they start to work out that like they were friends when they were kids. It naturally progressed into a relationship. There's some stuff going on with their families and they've lost their memories for some reason. So together they start to explore like what's kind of happened. I enjoyed the first part enough. I do want to continue. I do enjoy Colleen Hoover. I haven't read anything from Taryn Fisher, but I think Taryn Fisher is also another author that I would enjoy if I explored her further, which I don't know, at some point I probably will. We then have Promises and Pomegranates by Sav R. Miller, which is, it's been on my radar for quite some time. It is a Hades and Persephone's retelling, which you know that's why I want to read it. You know that that is my thing. And it's a contemporary one, which is probably why I haven't pursued it too much so far, because I prefer myself a fantasy romance. The synopsis doesn't really actually tell you what it's about. It just says that it's a dark contemporary Hades and Persephone romance. It does that thing that Kindle Unlimited synopses tend to do, where it gives you like some lines from the guy and then some lines from the girl, but essentially it's about him, like, I suppose everyone thinks that he's corrupted her and stole her away from her fiance, and I'm assuming that she feels something different. It is a dark romance though. There aren't a list of kinks or triggers on the Goodreads page, but I imagine that there are quite a few. We next have the Mindfuck series by, is it St. Abbey. Yeah, this obviously, I know the bare minimum of this, but it is one that people have been reading a lot recently, and it is particularly attractive to me because I think that each installment is very, very short. So I have the Risk downloaded on my Kindle, but this is a serial killer romance. I think that this one, I can't remember like who the guy is. He might be a cop, but the serial killer is female, and it's a romance between her and somebody else who I'm assuming is in some sort of like position of authority. I've heard great things about it. I've heard that it starts off rough, but it's really addictive, and I'm excited. I kind of wanted to read it in October, but I never got around to it. And I feel like when I have so many physical books, I've been straying away from my Kindle a lot when there's a lot of books on my Kindle that I want to read, and I don't want to buy a physical copy because they're on KU, but because I don't have a physical copy, I'm never reading them. We then have Her Soul Revenge by Harley LaRue, which I think that this one is the #1 that I want to get to. This is the sequel to Her Soul to Take, which I have just recommended in a spooky fantasy romance, like a spooky season fantasy romance recommendations video. So the first book in this series, Her Soul to Take, is following a girl who is moving back to the town that she grew up in. She moved away when she was a kid, and in this town there is this super rich family that are sacrificing people to like the god, like the slumbering god underneath the town, in hopes of raising him. So the main character's moving there. She has a paranormal investigation YouTube channel, and she stumbles across this grimoire, and she's looking to like hike her views a little bit. So she performs this ritual to summon a demon, not thinking it was going to work, and she summons Leon, who was previously in service to this really rich family, and he wants the grimoire. So she eventually kind of says like, fine, I'll give it to you, only to find out that it has been stolen. So those two band together to try and find it so that Leon can't be summoned by anyone else and continue like sacrificing people at the orders of other people. I adored book 1, and this one is following one of Leon's friends called Zane, and also a girl who was supposed to be a sacrifice of this rich family, but she managed to escape. So it's about her taking her revenge, and Leon's friend Zane is going along to help her with that. Kinky, very kinky. Look up the list of kinks on the Goodreads page if you want to like investigate the series, but oh my god, it is so good. And I don't feel like anyone can top Leon for me, but Zane made me feel some kind of way in the first book, so I am excited to read book 2. One that I don't want to be on here, okay, but you know me, I do not give up. It is the 3rd Zodiac Academy book by Susan Valenti and Caroline Peckham. I read books 1 and 2 and I didn't like them, but you guys who like this series have said that they really get good around book 3 or 4. I have said that I will get to book 3 or 4, which is why it's on my Kindle to kind of remind me it's there. I've got to say I'm dreading it, but I have also, like, I'm nearly free, because if I don't enjoy the next 2 books, then people have said like there's no point, just nope your way out of it, which sadly I think is going to be the case for me, because I'm not getting the fun vibes that everyone else is getting, but I am invested in one relationship in this, and that is it. So if you don't know what this series is, it's kind of like a bully romance, but there's also like a taboo romance in here as well, and it's about 2 girls who think that they're human, but they're actually like fae royalty. Their parents died when they were babies, which is why they've been raised by humans, but they're actually like the heirs to the throne. However, since their parents have died, this celestial council has been put in place, which is like led by the heads of like 4 influential families, and they have to go to this school to learn about being fae. It's like a magic school kind of situation, and while they're there, like, they're introduced to the heirs to the celestial council, which are these 4 horrible boys. Now this series puts the bully romance, which is why I don't like it, because the things that these boys do to the main characters is genuinely awful. Like, there's no purpose to it apart from they want to make them suffer, and it's humiliating, but in like a nasty, mean way, not in like a kinky fun time way. So I'm just not about it. There is one relationship in this though, the taboo one, that I am kind of invested in, but there's some of the boys that I hate them. Like, they make me feel sick. So it's not a fun time. I do like Darius though. Out of the 4, he's like my favorite, followed by, is it Seth? No, it's not Seth. I hate Seth. I don't know, but Darius is the one for me, and I like the taboo relationship, and anything else, like, it's just bad. Like, the writing isn't even passable. It's actively bad. But hopefully book 3 will change my mind. It doesn't seem like that way right now, but I'll give it a chance. Another sequel to a kind of lackluster but okay story is Crown of Crimson by Karina Halley. This will be the 3rd Karina Halley book that I've read, and I want to finish this duology and the Dark Eyes duology. I have the sequel Kindle, or like I have one on Kindle, I have one physically. And then I think I'm done with Karina Halley because I've tried 2 of her duologies and they're just not doing it for me. But this one is the sequel to something about shadows. Underworld, River of Shadows, which is the first book in the Underworld God series. This is the second, and in that one we were following a young woman who was traveling to, I think it's Norway, and I think it's Norwegian mythology in here, but she's traveling to assumedly Norway to bury her father who's died. Only she gets there and she realizes that there's some like weird like dark magic going on, and she doesn't think that her father is actually dead, so she travels into the underworld to kind of bargain for his soul. I really enjoyed the beginning of this, like the first book, but I didn't love like the second. I don't know, there's just something slightly off about Karina Halley's books to me, where like I feel like they're decent but then I don't love them, and I can't pinpoint why. But I did enjoy this one enough to consider continuing, so I do have the sequel, which I think is called Crown of Crimson, yeah, on my Kindle Unlimited TBR. Another popular dark, I think contemporary romance that I'm very interested in is Haunting Adeline, which is the first book in the Cat and Mouse duet by H.D. Carlton. The congestion is stopping me from enunciating those letters properly. Okay, so I'm not 100% sure that this is actually contemporary, but it is very dark romance. So something that I didn't know that has me even more intrigued is that in the synopsis on Goodreads it says that the book was previously banned on Amazon due to the trigger warnings, but then it doesn't say what the trigger warnings are. It's the manipulator and the shadow. So the female character, I think, says I can manipulate the emotions of anyone who lets me. I will make you hurt, make you cry, make you laugh and sigh. And then the male one, I think, says I didn't mean to fall in love, but now that I have, I can't stay away. I'm mesmerized by her smile, by her eyes, and the way that she moves. So yeah, I'm interested, but this synopsis is giving me absolutely nothing. One that I have been recommended, which I think is a contemporary romance, like a dark contemporary romance retelling of Peter Pan, and it's the first book in the Never After series, and it's Hooked by Emily McIntyre. I think Steph read this recently and said that I would really love it, and I do think that it's actually in my Inner Circle Patreon jar. Oh my god, is this? Oh, this is twisted. So this is kind of like the Wicked Villain series by Katie Roberts, which I do really enjoy, and it is dark retellings of fairy tales where the villain comes out on top. So it seems like this is some sort of like kind of gang or mafia romance where we have James, who is obviously Captain Hook, and he has been looking for revenge on Peter for a long time. So when his, like, Peter's 20-year-old daughter stumbles into, I think it says a bar, James kidnaps her. And I'm excited. Oh my god, that sounds so good. I'm not sure about the age gap though, because, you know, like I said, not an age gap girl. I just don't find older men that attractive. I think my limit, I'm 29, so my limit personally would be like 37, I want to say. Anything older than that, not too sure. Getting a bit too close to my dad's age. But like I've been surprised before, even though I don't like it. I do like Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas, so maybe this one will be a hit for me. And then the final one that we have is one that has been recommended to me by Aaron from Booked and Busy, and I was going to pick it up, but I just didn't. I wasn't in the mood to read a 400-page book on my Kindle, but that is Rain and Ruin by J.D. Evans, which apparently is like a really good fantasy romance. I think this is one that's like, I don't know what the percentage of romance is, but I feel like this is one where you'll have like a really decently thought out fantasy plotline alongside a romance, which is like my personal preference. You know, things like the way Sarah J Maas does it, where there's like a lot of fantasy plot but also like a lot of romance in there as well. But this is the first book in the Mages of the Wheel series, and Aaron said that it is a slow burn and it has like a really good magic system with, I think she said, elemental magic. So anything that's like a fantasy romance with a good fantasy plot line is like, that is my sweet spot. I will read things where there's like predominantly romance, and I do obviously read fantasy without romance, but what I want ideally is a high epic fantasy with a compelling romance that makes you want to die, because it makes the stakes so much higher. And if a book can deliver on that, then that is the gold. Those are my favorite books of the year. Oh my god, their balance as well. The magic of the world is dying, and they need each other to balance each other out to save magic and also to find mages who wield the forbidden power of death. There's also like a magical war. Science and machines are wanting to replace magic and religion, and they're trying to save their people, but they're very opposite people. I'm here for it. That sounds amazing. Thank you so much, Aaron, for that recommendation. And yeah, hopefully I can get to it. I'm reading a lot of fantasy romance at the minute. I said in my October TBR that I wanted to read a lot of fantasy, and I still do, but somehow I've ended up sliding into like high fantasy romance, which like I said is my sweet spot. So yeah, we'll see how that progresses. But now that I've made this video, I just want to read everything on my KU TBR. I know a lot of people say that ebooks read faster, and I do kind of get that, but then I also don't like that you can't see how much of your book is left. And I feel like when you're in the last 100 pages, it feels like you're reading so slowly because you expect it to be over so quickly, but it takes a while to get through. But those are my top 10 books that are currently on my Kindle Unlimited TBR. Please let me know obviously down in the comments whether you've read any of these and what you guys thought of them. Which ones would you recommend for me? Which ones do you think I shouldn't bother with? And also, do you have any further recommendations for me based on what you guys generally know that I like when it comes to romance, and also maybe based on the like things that I've included that I want to read in this video. But aside from that, guys, please don't forget to like this video if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna. If you head to my description box, you'll find a link to my Goodreads, Instagram and Twitter if you'd like to follow me on any of those, as well as a link to my Bookish Candle website, the Etsy for that, and a 10% off discount code. But that's it from me today, guys. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you're a go when nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.